Alrighty. Hey, Steve Shenbaum here from Game On, and this is Laugh With, and we're with Brittany Lamont. So this is Laugh With Brittany Lamont. And before we get in and chop it up, Brittany, I'm really excited. A leader in this community. This is the president and CEO of Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance and has been in that role for almost 6 years. We work together. We're partners, and I have so much respect for Brittany and the way she leads. And she's also a Bradenton native, so she's pouring right back into her community. So this is Laugh With Brittany Lamont. Hi, Brittany.
Hi, Steve. Thank you so much for having me today.
I am excited. You are. You're one of my leadership peers, but I also respect and admire you so much in the way you do things. And we'll talk about that and leadership style and all that stuff.
Absolutely.
So before we dive into chop it up, I like to define the idea of laugh with. Laugh with, please people listening, observing. Laughter's not exclusive to like the funniest person in the room. That would put so many people out of the picture. Laughter could be joy, could be levity, could be just a moment where if I don't laugh, I'm going to cry. I know you have a lot going on, so I did want to tee you up. What is a laugh with moment you've had, a joy moment, a levity moment recently that you'd love to share?
So I'm going to play on your laugh because you're not sure if you're going to cry moment. So we had lost our kitty cat had run away. And so my kids were really, really sad. And so I did what every mom would do. And I said, let's go get a new kitten. Yeah. And so I call about this kitten and we get there and we're showing up and I've got all the kids with me and we're going to go see this new little kitten. And the lady opens up the door and she goes, by the way, he got his leg amputated yesterday. And I was like, oh,
what?
That's okay.
They didn't tell you that information prior?
They did not tell me that, Steve. I think that might be how they are adopting. They're called tripod kitties, by the way. His name is Jack. He is doing fabulous. My laugh with moment was, last thing I need in my life is to take care of another human being. But here I am with a cat, a three-legged cat. But then also it felt like a teaching moment for my kids that like he's different, but it's okay. And so I have a three-legged cat. His name is Jack. And anybody who knows me is like, of course you do, Brittany. Of course you do.
I don't like to compare. Comparison's a thief of joy. Brittany, that is the best laugh with that has absolutely been established. Katie, do you agree that that's the best laugh with? Katie agrees. She gave a thumbs up. Katie's on the other side helping us do this whole thing. I got to unpack that just a little bit. This is not going to be the podcast. Three-legged cat. How about like maybe that could be information they share in advance?
I questioned some tactics. There also was not a discount to this cat. I want to be real clear.
I love that you turned it into a teaching moment. Like, hey, kids.
Yeah, you could tell they were scared by the cat. Obviously, it's different. My kids are 3, 6, and 9, so they're young. And so the laugh, the real laugh at moment, and my daughter's going to love that I'm telling you this, is she looks at me and just the innocence in her face. And she says, but Mom, this cat can't run away from me. I can catch the three-legged cat. And I'm sorry. It's like, but it was so true. They were so worried the cat would run away. But now we have a three-legged. By the way, those cats are not limited. If you have not experienced a little three-legged tripod cat,
they'll still run.
He's jumping on everything. But he had some trauma. We're giving him a sweet, loving home, and it's all working out. But it was my kind of laugh at moment. I think there's always those times as a parent, definitely, that you just kind of laugh like, all right, this is life. Yeah. This is like life and it's raw. Yeah. And that was like one of those moments.
It's actually great because, we say laugh with, not at. In that situation, you have to laugh at. You have to laugh at, take it. It's so many, from the mouth of babes, your daughter can't run away. That's silver lining. I did not tee this up. Mine, I can't even compare to that story. It's so good. But I do have an animal story. I do. My laugh with happened yesterday. And that is, we'll talk a little bit about our, parenting and leading and children. So we have 2 girls, 14 and 11. Blake and Bailey. Our youngest one, Bailey, 11, she loves to throw the stuffed animal toys to our dog, Finley. So we're outside, and Bailey, I don't know how she did this, and I think it was purposeful. She says it wasn't. She went to throw Finley's favorite little alligator stuffed animal toy that squeaks, the thing that it's a good idea until it's not a good idea, right? Like, this squeaks in the store, and now it's squeaking every day.
Everywhere.
Bailey went to throw it out there to Finley to go get, and she threw it completely backwards onto our roof. Oh. And now you've got a chocolate lab who's looking up in the sky for her favorite toy, and it never came down.
But she was probably entertained for like 30 minutes
She
looking for it.
She was. And then I just looked at Bailey. I'm like, how could you be that off that you threw it the complete wrong way? So we have a green alligator that is actually not squeaking up on our roof right now. And I'm not a big ladder guy. So we'll see how long that stays up.
I was going to ask you who was getting that down.
It's a great question. I'd rather not go there. I didn't think we were going to have a difficult conversation here, Brittany.
No, but you will probably end up needing to purchase a new alligator then.
I feel targeted. I feel targeted. Find that laughter, find that levity, find that joy. Oh, you mentioned so many coins in your open in that story. I want to actually tell you a little bit. We're going to lean into leadership because you're in it. You're in that leadership spot. We talked about this a little bit before we dove into the podcast, before we recorded, but I want to go further. Like when you were younger and you grew up in the Bradenton community, which I love that you're here pouring in. When were you in leadership roles throughout your middle school, high school?
Yes. So I grew up playing traveling softball. So Manatee Twisters, through from really 10 to high school. Yeah. So spent a lot of time on the softball fields. Also, I think my mom early on in my life worked at the Bradenton Herald, and she used to let me go and visit her, and seeing the kind of work environment. And if my mom were here, she would tell you the story of like, she knew I was going to go into business because I told her if I'm going to be successful, I'm going to have a cell phone and a briefcase.
How old were you when you said that?
Oh, I'd be like 8 maybe. You're younger than even my oldest now. But I always loved going to work with her and all of that. And then really early on in high school, I had the opportunity to do the business academy at Bayshore High School. And that, I think, was pivotal. I did speech as well. I did some speech competitions, and Mr. Tullio was our business academy leader. Funny enough, he ended up selling me a mortgage later in life.
Oh, that's hilarious!
It's full circle moment. Yeah. Yes,
and you bought it. He didn't just try to sell you. You got the.
I would trust nobody else with my mortgage.
Mr. Tullio.
Mr. Tullio, yeah, Michael Tullio, man. But so I had some really great business and leadership foundation skills taught through Future Business Leaders of America and that kind of stuff. And then really in my marketing degree at USF, I was recruited out of the chamber my senior year of college. So I always love to tell the story that nobody knew what a chamber of commerce is when our professor asked. I did because my neighbor growing up, her mom works at the Manatee Chamber. So I had the opportunity to know what we used to go in and stuff bags for events. So I was like, oh, I can help with some events. That'll be great. And Debbie Herker, I love to speak of her very often because she passed away, it's been quite a few years now, but she was just one of those kind of pivotal, women that I just saw in her career. And so every time I talk about chambers, it brings me such joy to talk about her. And then really just never left the chamber industry. So worked my way up, love nonprofits, love all businesses. In my mind, I thought, okay, I could help market a business, or I could really help market an entire business in a community. Mm-hmm. Whenever I say I'm in the Chamber of Commerce industry, people are like, how did you get into that? I'm like, that's all I've ever known.
Isn't that fascinating? Yeah. And it goes back to your mom, and you probably say, take me to work.
Mm-hmm.
Seeing what it's like.
Yeah.
At 8 years old.
Yeah. I loved that. And my mom very early on had instilled, she didn't have an opportunity to go to college, and really instilled the importance of getting an education. I don't think I knew college was an option.
Isn't that interesting? Because it reminds us you have to see things in order to place yourself in the painting. Mm-hmm. For you, you had to get invited into a workspace for you to be able to wrap your mind around it. Were you the first person? How was that generational from a college perspective? Yeah,
first person in my family to go to college.
Really?
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
From a faith-based perspective, and I know I can go there with you. That's like a generational shift.
It absolutely is. Yeah. And I'm an only child as well. So I just think it was really important for my mom to make sure I had that college education. And it's obviously, it served me very well, and I learned a lot from it. I had the opportunity to go to USF. But, my parents couldn't afford for me to go to college. It was Take Stock in Children. I'm a Take Stock recipient.
Wow.
So I got that my freshman year. And then I applied for every grant or scholarship or anything that you could imagine I was applying for, to just try to be able to not, and that took me the whole way. I'll never forget my very last semester, my dad paying cash for my books.
It's laugh with. You're going to make me cry.
Yeah.
What are you doing? What are you doing?
I think at that time he was like, God, I got off early. I just had to pay the last semester. But I mean, they really couldn't afford. And so I think I never took for granted the opportunity to better myself and have that. My mom's still my biggest cheerleader. So yeah, it was a good experience. And I've worked really hard to reciprocate that.
It's interesting, Brittany. I know you on the reciprocation side because we've known each other at 6 years. We worked together. We partnered together. I know a little bit of your story. To hear the story prior and how you had to kind of get after it on your own along with your parents' support, it makes sense now because I constantly see you wanting to impact the community, wanting to multiply businesses, wanting to give people opportunities. That makes more sense on where that came from.
Absolutely.
Raising two really wonderfully imperfect daughters, Jackie and I think about you, and it's going to be a strange question for a laugh with, but we talked about laughter can come from challenges and struggles. When you were getting after it, let's say as a elementary school or middle school girl, did you ever feel like some people didn't get that boldness? Did you find that, because it is somewhat unique to have that drive that early?
Yeah.
In today's age, I think the kids say like, oh, you're being extra, something I've heard about myself. What was that like when you had this, like, I want to get after it. I want to succeed. I want to break the generational gap, shift and get to USF. Was there any, or were you even tracking that?
That early, probably not tracking it, but I think some of it has to do with an environment that I was with a group of now women because my softball team friends are still my friends to these days. We were all like that. We were all succeeding. I'm so proud of where they are in their lives. And I think what you said, honestly, when you were saying it, made me think of something that I was just talking to my oldest daughter about. And it was, she had told a teacher at school that her mom says, you are the company you keep. And I think we question all the time whether the things that we're saying to our kids are resonating.
Yeah.
Are they listening? And when she said that, I was taken a little bit aback, and I'm like, you're right, I do say that to you. And so I think and that's something my mom probably said to me. And so when you put yourself around just people they don't have to come from the same life circumstances as you or the same family background, but you're all striving to be better people. And I think I see that so much. My oldest is in competitive jiu-jitsu, and she's stronger than I ever could be. But she is around a group of kids from various backgrounds and ethnic backgrounds, but they're all striving to be their best. And so I think I put myself around that. And I think that is so key to do. I think when you put yourself around people who they're not striving to be their best, they're giving you a pass for you not to be your best. So, like, I want you to check me at the door. I want my team to check me at the door too. So
are you seeing now and listening now to why Brittany is one of my favorite peers in this region? I'm serious.
Thank you.
Because it's not just talk. And, we're on social media together, and I actually love watching your pictures of your friends that you've had since you were like 12 years old. That says a lot. That doesn't mean that everyone has to have this unbelievable circle. There's some folks, their life experience doesn't allow that.
Right.
Or you move from city to city. But you talk about being around people, and these become like kind of your lifelong friends. But I love what you said about surrounding yourself with people that are getting after it the way you are. There's no mockery there.
No. And get after it in a different way. I mean, I could be doing my, I love my workout class, Burn Boot Camp. I can be there with those ladies. That's their version of getting out of it. I mean, it doesn't matter if they're staying home with their children or they're a school teacher or whatever, but like, they're performing at their best. I think I have almost like an addiction to just performing at your best, whatever that looks like. Career, faith, family, hobbies. You love to fly fish. I don't know. But there is something that takes you to zero to hero in your world.
I love that. And it's biblically iron sharpens iron. And it's
Absolutely.
true, however you want to interpret that. You're around goodness, your goodness is amplified. I love what you said too. When you're around folks that maybe not driving with the same level of intentionality and excellence, it gives you an excuse to be mediocre. I'm going to go back a little bit to the softball.
Yeah.
I just think, part of what Game On does, not all of it, but a section of our clientele is college and pro athletes, and in junior athletics at IMG Academy. It's interesting. You talk about Bayshore. You were right across the street from IMG Academy. Talk about Bolletary back in the day, yeah. But talk about a tale of two cities,
Yeah.
Wild. And again, I have to give credit to IMG now. They are doing an unbelievable job of getting into the community. But back in the day, I was there 2003 to 2012.
Yep. So in those beginning times, couple girls from school played tennis there, or maybe they had just started, I think, like a summer baseball program. Yeah. It was very like, at that time, bolletary tennis, like that. Those were the two terms that really were with it before IMG was. I had some friends to go on and work after college to go work at IMG and things like that. I mean, you want to talk about just a gem of Bradenton.
Yeah.
And I think to really be able to go into that what at that time was the center of Bradenton, and bring those kind of athletes, that kind of program into this area. I mean, transform. People didn't know what Bradenton was before that.
That's true. There was a Pirates were here. We had, Tropicana and Bells. But you playing ball, like say on the other side of the street, you've already established, it wasn't like anything was handed to you on a silver platter, which I think makes complete sense as to how you get after stuff. But playing softball, like what were things that you picked up early? I'm doing this totally selfishly. My daughter's 14. She's playing middle school softball. Like, what are some things that you picked up as an elite athlete that you transfer into your space as a wife, a mother, a leader?
I think for me, one of the biggest things about softball, or whatever, I'll call it a team sport, there are things you learn doing a team sport, how to work with a team, how to lead, how to play different roles on a team, how to conquer things as a team. And I think you quickly learn that you don't have to be the star in everything. Sometimes this is one thing I've definitely taken with me. There are times to lead and there are times to support. And a team sport will teach you that. I will never forget. I played, softball growing up, played, travel softball, and we were all kind of on the cusp of going to Manatee and Bayshore, like from our neighborhood. We lived in Court of Lakes. And so some girls were a year older than us, and they didn't get school choiced in to join the Manatee High softball team. That's how we all went to Bayshore. We went as a team. Had they gotten into Manatee, I would have went to Manatee. My life would have probably been different. I would have met all different people. I would have whatever. But because they didn't get in, so when we joined freshman year, well, they joined first, then us, we were varsity because Bayshore really didn't have a softball team much. Right. And we made it to districts. And I think that was something else, like building a team from the ground up, being together. And then all of us to this day, I was just on the phone with Shanna on my way here, and Jenny Chadsey, which I know you know too.
Yes.
And and that's how we really became a friend. But there are just things in a team sport that you cannot replicate anywhere else.
It's so great. I love that you mentioned Jenny Chadsey, by the way.
Oh, yes.
I remember when she came up to me. She's going to laugh if she hears this.
I'll send her the link.
Totally. Like, this was 20 years ago. We were out all to dinner at IMG, and she was probably in high school. She was probably there with you in those years. And she walked up to me and she said, "I'm sorry to interrupt you, but can I take a picture with you? Because I saw you at American Pie too." And it was so sweet. So she took a picture together. This is really sweet. It's really nothing to do with Laugh With, but I want to tell it to you. And then we realized later when I met Jackie, my wife, that Jackie knew Jenny because Jackie did Young Life and Jenny was a part of it. Now we're all adults.
Yeah.
And Jackie introduced Jenny to me. She said, "This is my husband, Steve." And she says, "Actually, I have a picture of you 15 years ago. When I walked up to you, I was just like Applebee's or something."
Yes.
It was like, I just thought it was sweet. Now Jenny has her own family.
She does. Yeah, we were literally just together the other day. She drove all the way out to my office, by the way. She dropped me off flowers for my birthday, and I wasn't there, and she like hammed it up with the staff. So I think she's like my favorite friend to my team right now. They're just like, "We love Jenny." I'm like, because she's that good of a friend. Yeah. Jenny is like that. She is one of the best humans I've ever met. I learned from her all
great
the time.
Shout out, Jenny.
Yeah.
And it really makes me think about just like what we need to do to maintain relationships. So you do that well. And I'll preface this. I think some people aren't wired to have like tons and tons of childhood friends. Some people, it's not their life experience. Like I said, people can move, people can come out of their shell a little later, but you do a really good job of keeping up with your connections, what is it? There has to be some component of intentionality. Again, I'm not trying to turn this into like 3 takeaways to build a team, but how do you do it?
So one, I take what you say as a huge compliment, and it's not the first time that I've heard it, that is like, you show up for your people, you show up for your friends or whatever. You know, friends are a chosen family, and maybe it is because I'm an only child. My mom did a really good job about always bringing my friends along with me, and they were always staying the night. And my mom she had such a magical way of my childhood, but really taking that time to find those few friends that just they're your family. But I think it is truly the act of showing up. People maybe overestimate what it takes to show up for someone. Like, sometimes you don't have to show up as a whole person. You don't have to show up with your stuff together. Like, you can show up broken, and sometimes they're broken, but you're broken together, you know? And I think at the end of the day, all we have in this world is to show up for the people we love. And so when I'm showing up, whatever that looks like for them, good times, bad times, celebrating them, remembering that they told you something small. And my brother-in-law had started a job this a couple months ago, and I text my sister. I'm like, "How's Charlie's first week of work?" And she's like, "You remembered?"
Isn't that amazing?
I was like, "Yeah, he just got the military. This is the first civilian job. How's he doing?" And it was it caught her off guard. But I try to remember that about people. And at the end of the day, in your lowest moments, everybody is going to go through something in their life that they're going to need someone to show up. And how can I expect someone to show up for me if I didn't show up for them?
So good. I love this. Brittany.
And I get so much joy, I think, in being there for people too, and really sharing in their good times and their bad times. And that's life. But at the end of the day, what else do you have other than the people around you? And so I do. I try. It is truly something that is really important to me.
I love, though, that you didn't just give some cookie cutter cliche. It's you just love on them. No, you actually gave an example, and the example you gave with your brother-in-law reaching out to your sister, I and encourage folks to understand that showing up doesn't have to be some big fireworks show. Mm-mm. If we think of it that way, then you won't do it.
No.
Oh, I got to show up. I got to get on a plane, go to California, and I got to bring in a gift.
Yeah.
No, it could be a text. Mm-hmm. It's just, hey, I was just thinking about you. You are on my mind. Mm-hmm. I know you got that promotion coming up, or how's so-and-so's health? Really, because then it's accessible, and people really can then go, I can do that. Mm-hmm. I can do that.
It's the little moments too. Yeah, you're right. Just showing up in those little moments.
That's your book, Show Up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Brittany,
just show up. Just show up and do it. just show up.
I just did what.
That's half the battle.
So true. I just did what I can't stand when people do. You got to write a book, but you need to write a book.
Can I just say a bunch of words and someone can write it for me?
Yeah, it's
a very long interview book. Yeah, it's ChatGPT.
It's out there.
I think my ChatGPT book would be here's my word vomit. Please make it sound sociably acceptable.
I think a lot of people are utilizing that, but I love it. No, you have your own good stories. You would write it. So you're out of USF. You're in that chamber. Mm-hmm. I love that no one knew what Chamber of Commerce was but you. And you're an expert on it because of the doors that your mom helped open for you. How did the Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance role come up? And just to really level set this, president and CEO of a business alliance, it's I have bias, but it is one of the most renowned business alliances, I believe, in the country. So proactive, so tangible. It's not just some social club. Mm-hmm. But how did that opportunity come about? You go after it? Did they recruit you? What did that look like?
So by the time the Alliance job had come up, I had been at the chamber for about 12 years. If you know Heather Caston, which you do, because she founded the partnership that we now have together.
I love that we're shouting out these folks. Yes, Heather.
We'd say we love to switch spots professionally. It's funny. We all started at the chamber together. She got recruited to the Alliance. Yeah. And then she ended up getting recruited back to the chamber, and then we got to work together again. And so at that time I had been, I had some other CEOs I had worked for, and Kevin Cooper was working at the chamber with me at that point. And so really when Heather came and we got to spend some time together, I knew Heather was there for the long haul. She was going to be able to take that chamber really to the next level. And I think I was to the point too where I was ready than to jump into a smaller organization and get my bearings too and that leadership. So when the job came open, I had somebody had reached out to me about it, and it just seemed like such a good fit.
It is a good fit.
And now I get to still work with Heather as a partner organization, and all of those, that same group of folks that we all kind of grew up in the industry together, Dan and Craig and all of them.
Yeah.
Janeth Gonzalez, my event manager, is like my favorite story of all when it comes to hiring, but she worked for Heather originally, but she interviewed with me first.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Yeah. So Heather was looking for an event person. I was looking for an event person at Sarasota Chamber, and I interviewed Janeth and one other individual, and the other individual got the job, but I thought that Janeth was amazing. And I called Heather and I'm like, hey, I think you should interview her. And she took the job. Years later, I go get the job at the Alliance, and one of my first things is, oh my gosh, just Janeth. Like, I didn't give her a job, and now I'm back working with her. Oh. And she was like, I never understood why you did that for me. She was like, I didn't know you. You didn't owe me anything.
Wow.
And essentially helped get her into the career that she's in now. And now we get to work together again, and it's amazing.
And she's great.
But I think when you see talent, you identify talent, then you should foster. And that's what people did with me. I mean, my 12 years at the Chamber, and then now my, 5 years at the Alliance, was always because I had some leader who was investing in me. From Steve, who very first CEO I had, to Kevin, to Heather, to all of them, that were giving me the why behind it and helping me get to that next level. It was never just about like, oh, you're working for me. It's like, well, where do you want to be?
That's incredible to show. That totally takes selflessness. Mm-hmm. Versus if I have a amazing high performer like you could think selfishly, I want to have Brittany under my wing. Mm-hmm. No, it's if you want to fly,
then
go for it.
Then fly. It's and I've really taken that on in my leadership style
so
too.
So good. I think staff feel that, and there loyalty is wonderful, but you don't want to sometimes have someone with you for 20 years. Mm-hmm. If you, as a coach, let's use a coaching tree with your sports background, sometimes you want folks to move on and do their own coaching.
Yeah. I think what I tell them most often is, if you're in the same spot doing the same job for me 20 years from now, then you weren't the person I hired. If that was your goal to not stay there. Now, again, when you get to that part where you're prioritizing other things in your life, and that's not a problem either. But I know I'm only going to have you for a little bit. And we're going to do some really cool things while we're together. And we're going to learn a lot, and we're going to have a great time. And then one day you're going to come into my office and you're going to tell me that you got this dream job, opportunity, whatever. And that moment has nothing to do with me. That has everything to do with you. As leaders, we naturally just, okay, all right, well, how am I going to make this deadline? I have this and this. Oh, God, to lose them on my team. Like, what? Me. What am I going to do? And I'm like, I committed so early on in this leadership journey, I will never do that. Because that person working in my office, it's not their problem. It's mine.
So good.
And so do whatever steps you need to do, cross-train, always have whatever that makes sense for you in your business. But I'm never going to make it about me. Will I cry later? Possibly.
Totally.
Of course. But I'm so proud of them. It takes such guts to take that next step in your career, whatever it is. And when someone does it, like, good for you.
Yeah. And I think it could be so good, Brittany. I think it could be misconstrued sometimes, and we overplay loyalty as the staff member, not as the leader. And we think, I'm saying this for everyone listening, because you're sharing such wise and practical and applicable information.
Yeah.
But for people to not be misunderstood and not misunderstand the term loyalty. If I'm working for you, I want to run through a wall for you because you will create that environment. At the same time, I don't want to sit here and stay longer than is necessary because I'm worried that I'm going to hurt the boss's feelings. You create an environment like you do where we say, look, it's a win if you stay and we do great work together. It's a win if you are ready to move on.
Absolutely.
And then go out there and do wonderful stuff. Who knows? You might end up working together like you and Heather.
Yeah.
So
love
Creighton did Leadership Academy, yeah?
Yep, he did.
So I am in a leadership. We talked briefly about this, but we're partnered together. Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, Game On. We do a 6-phase leadership academy program at Benderson Park, and my team and I love it. Creighton is up early, probably the third session. So we've already worked together for 2 sessions at 3 hours each session. And by the third, he's doing an improv exercise with me. And then he happens to reveal, like the third or fourth session, like really like humbly, that he's Heather's son. And I started to cry in front of the class. And it was funny that he didn't mention it. He didn't lead with that.
Yeah.
But you mentioned Heather and how much respect we have for her. And there she has her son in the program. Didn't say a word. Wasn't like, hey, I just want you to know. Give me some favor. And he just shared it naturally. And I must have freaked him out because I was like, you're Heather Caston's son.
Yeah.
And it also reminds me of generational.
And they used to run around the office as little kids. And then my office, or, then my kids ran around. And Creighton is amazing. And that is very, I think, Creighton of him too.
Creighton of him. I love that. Not to start with, hey, I just want you to know, my mom, and she used to lead this thing, and she started this thing. No, it was like third. It was when we were doing coins. We were talking about coins.
Yep.
Things you value, people and places and pets and food. And he mentioned, he's like, yeah, and I really had my family, my mom and Heather Cass. And I was like, wait, freeze. Wait, what?
Yeah. A little silent name drop there.
Yeah, name drop. That was great.
I love that.
I think about all that you have going on, and I think about your ability to develop relationships and intentionality and show up. But there has to be a time where you also have to be like, no. So for someone who I know is very direct in a great way, like your yes is your yes, your no is your no. I've always sensed that, how do you establish those boundaries? I think about leaders, we can get caught up in, I want to serve everyone. Well, then you've got your marriage, you've got your children, you've got your staff at Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance, you have tons of events. Help us.
Oh, okay. So I'll be really vulnerable and tell you my biggest shout out would be I can thank my therapist, Dr. White.
That's honest.
So funny enough, every quarter we have a new goal. Not that should shock you that I have goals with my therapist. We've been together about 10 years. He's absolutely sweet. I will send him this link because he's just that amazing.
Awesome.
But one of the things he really talked to me about, or one of the restrictions he's giving me at the moment is I am to wait 30 minutes before I say yes to something.
Doctor, well done.
Sounds so crazy, but I am notorious for, let's say you were like, hey, Brittany, I need you to cover this thing, or can you come to this event? Game On's putting on this event, and would love for you to be there. I'd be like, yeah. Do I have childcare? No idea. What's my, I'm a people pleaser at heart. I identify I'm a people pleaser at heart. And he said that a lot of times maybe I'm even trying to fill the air before I have to. Or if you've asked me to do something, or you need me to be somewhere, like you would have just asked somebody else. You didn't need me that bad, but he's like, if you just took a breath and like waited to see how much they need you, 2, to really give yourself some time to say, is this what I want to do? Is this what I need to do? Those type of things. And then come back. He's like, nobody's mad at you because you needed to think about it for a few minutes.
So great.
And it was such a like kind of profound, we've done other things in the past about, not like letting your mind wander too much. I am very open with everybody that I have like paralyzing anxiety that I have taken a long time to be able to manage. And it's really been therapy. I mean, in my early 20s, I had horrible anxiety before I had kids. And that's when I met Dr. White. And so we always, like, to me, one of the most profound things that he said, and I share this with every single person that I come across, is you will spend hours and hours in the gym getting your body right. Why won't you put that effort in your mind? Yeah. And I think at first for me, and I'm probably taking this down a path here, but
it's okay.
I think I thought of like therapy or anxiety medicine as like a failure.
Yeah.
Like, well, why wasn't I normal? Like, well, what would normal people say about this? What would they? And he spent a lot of time coaching me of like, you're refining your mind. You're working your mind out. I'm a talker outer.
So am I.
We're going to pick out a new couch. I want to talk about it for 3 hours. I want to know the pros, the cons, the blah, 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 blah. And so that was really helpful for him to take my people pleasing and put it in not restricting me, not taking me away from who I am, but hey, here's like some boundaries we can put in place for you to really help you do that. And so to the point of how do I keep my, yes, my plate is too full and I got to get even better about saying no. And he kind of also talked to me a lot about like, well, what is relaxing to you? I think we all think that it's okay to be the same version of relaxing. Like, oh, I'm going to go to a resort and I'm going to lay on the beach all day. I would die.
That would stir you up because you feel like we're not getting anything done.
No.
I love that. And also, to be real, a lot of people don't have the time to take that self-care 2-week trip.
No. So he said, what would bring you joy? And I said, I don't know. I kind of want to skip work on a Tuesday and go ride roller coasters at Busch Gardens. And he was like, do it.
I love this. By the way, shout out to Dr. White.
Yes.
And all the Dr. Whites.
We all need Dr. Whites in our lives. We do.
Brittany, you're not going down, when you mentioned, I'm kind of going down maybe a different path. This is the path. This is real. We can talk about what brings you joy, levity, and all these things. This is so important, and it's really not a question. It's more of a sort of an amplification of the fact that you are so put together and you're such a respected leader. You are, and yet it is so important for us to be real. And everything you see on the social media, everything you see in the magazine articles, everything you see at the events, because Brittany, you're leading at these events, doesn't mean we have it all together.
Not at all.
And people need to know that. And it comes down to like surround yourself with people that can speak life into you and can make you accountable, whether it's your friends, but also whether it's an expert. And I love what Dr. White said, because it's accessible to everyone, which is like 30 minutes. That's really tangible. Right?
Absolutely.
Really tangible. And I want to tee this up for you to run with this, but the term that you kept amplifying was when I resemble it, is when someone says, I need. Not everyone, but many people, that's like, how do you say no, right? I need you. I need you. It's like, it's such a good exercise for us to go, if you hear that term, many of us, not everyone, will be like, I'm in. You don't even know what you're in for.
Yeah.
30 minutes. Wow.
Yeah. And I really have I'll say I made a commitment really early on when my anxiety was at its peak and I had gotten over that time, that I was going to communicate my anxiety in any room that I could, that I wasn't going to hide behind it, that I wasn't going to have shame in it. I've had conversations with team members and things like that of like, if you're choosing a path of a therapist or mental health or a coaching and counseling, do it during my time. You need to do it during the day, do it. Like, prioritize your mental health. Any new mom I've ever hired, I've always said this job will not be, you will have enough reasons of guilt in momhood. This job won't be one of them.
Nice.
Like I supporting people where they are. People are fighting battles a lot of times you have no idea. The brightest lights in the room have the darkest shades. There's just, you got to show up for people in like the human capacity. And I hope at the end of the day, if I'm standing on, if somebody's throwing me a party for my retirement at the end of the day, I hope it's filled with a room full of people who don't just say like, she helped me get her somewhere professionally. Like, she was there in my darkest hour. She believed in me when I couldn't. She could, like those type of things like that. There would be no greater gift than to know I like impacted people like that. And I was fortunate enough to have people impact me, and like, how selfish not to give that back. And I think that's, what is your guiding principles? What do you wake up, what is your North Star? Yeah. I think you had asked me previously. And I think it is to love on people and to help them rise. And that's, at the end of the day, I think that's all you can ask in a leadership position, in a friend position, like whatever it is.
Yeah, it starts to make sense. There's something really cool about having you as a guest and not knowing your backstory, but knowing your current story. And I'm like picturing like the puzzle. And again, not perfect. Agree?
Never
imperfect.
Yeah.
Imperfect. But it's starting to become a puzzle. It's like, that makes sense. Like, even the only child, like, I'm like, wow. So your mom had to be really intentional about like getting you into things with other people,
always.
Right? It's not like, you're only child, let's get you into golf. Right? That might be
And she was always hosting friends and always, that's, and now having 3 children though, the funny thing is I don't really understand the sibling dynamics.
Yeah, because you didn't get brought up with it.
Yeah, like David's always like, it's okay that they're, basically beating each other in the living room. And I'm like, what? Like my sweet Harper girl, she's like me. She's like, why are we fighting? You know,
You had no one to fight with when you were growing.
my first and third are ready to duke it out at any time.
Oh, sister,
you know?
I had a moment a while ago where our oldest Blake was. This was when she was a little younger, but she was like supposed to be in timeout. I was like, getting timeout. She's like, no.
They'll test you.
Getting timeout. She's like, no. And then I was like, Jackie, yelling for my wife for backup. And then I had to go. And Blake's like, where are you going? And I was like, to teach leadership. Like, slam the door.
To teach other people what to do in these circumstances.
Because I am a respected leadership coach.
Yes.
I was like, walk away, like in my car, like frazzled.
They will humble you.
Big time.
And you know what's really humbling is seeing parts of you in them.
Stop. Now I feel targeted.
It is insane
totally.
to see the parts of you, and I'm like,
oh, I have an
That's
issue with
me.
time. I have an issue with time. People think it's like selfless. Somewhat. I get anxious if I'm not on time. It's sort of a selfish thing. Like when I was an actor auditioning, I wanted to get there early because else I'd get anxious. And when I do meetings, I want to be on time. But it can get overplayed to where it's like frantic. And my oldest, my 14-year-old has it.
yeah.
Dad, we're late for school. We're late. No, we're fine. Dad. And I'm like, oh my gosh, I've done this.
So the main question is, does your second just wander through life like there is no clock?
The 11
Because that is your
like,
real
100%. I'm not kidding. I
test.
can't believe I said 100%. Yeah, the 11-year-old will sit there and just like doesn't even have her shoes on. We're 5 minutes late. She's like, whatever.
That's my middle.
That's the same one that also threw the alligator onto the roof. But yeah, it's almost like they counter. But to your point, you see some of your giftings in your children, right?
Yep.
And then you also see like, oh, I think they got that from me. And really, you talked about this earlier in the conversation. You try to then think about where you can amplify those giftings.
Absolutely.
And even I'm thinking about parents now, our parents, and then think about where there's some weaknesses and how we can improve those. You know, your mother you talked about your parents, there's no college. They could have gone, Brittany, no college. Because that's just not our Lamont jam, whatever. You know, I'm using your married name, but that's not the jam. Or they could go, because we haven't had college in the rhythm, we are going to be extra intentional about putting you in positions where you can see that as your future.
Absolutely. And now my husband or I, neither of us, his mom was a nurse, so she ended up finishing her schooling, but neither of us come from backgrounds that were, very plush as far as financially. And so now we're almost on the other end of like, I tell my children, I'm like, y'all, like, this is not how we were raised. Not everybody gets to just go and, go to Five Below and get what you want or whatever, So it's funny how you almost don't let the pendulum swing too much that I'm like, guys, like I tell my oldest sometimes, I'm like, I need to humble you a little bit. And
I can't believe you brought up Five Below. It truly happened where our kids are like, yeah, I'm going to go to Five Below because I want to purchase 24 plush things. What are those called? These little plushies or these?
Yeah,
these
I
weird...
don't want to admit that I might have stood in line for those a week ago.
We can edit that part out.
Oh, man.
Katie, keep that in.
Yes.
But yeah, you're right, though. You want to not overplay it, but at the same time, you want to remind our kids, like, well, it goes back to gratitude.
Yeah, and be kind. I mean, just be kind.
Yeah.
That's my biggest. I don't, so what success looks like, I think, to anybody, like you're the most successful person, but if you're not kind, like it's not the route that I want my children going.
When you were coming out of Bayshore High and you went to USF, and you may not be thinking this at all, were you always thinking like, I'm coming back home?
So I didn't leave. I actually, right out of Bayshore, I went to State College of Florida.
Got it. Right across the street.
Yeah, which was Manatee Community College.
Yeah.
Actually, my senior year, I started taking classes I was just telling Tommy Gregory about this the other day. I started taking classes there, but they didn't have dual enrollment yet. So I would like go to high school English, and then I'd go to college English late 1101 or whatever it was later that day.
That's wild.
And there wasn't that like established type thing. But I worked at Freedom Village, and they would have like a scholarship thing. So that's how I was able to go.
It's amazing.
And then I just stayed at State College of Florida, and then went to USF.
Got it.
So I really never thought about going. I mean, my mom was here. It was just her and I.
Yeah.
And so I always wanted to stay close to my mom.
Yeah.
I moved out on my own. So she thought it was really important to me to move out and live on my own before I ever got married or anything. It was something she never did, and she thought was an important thing to do. So I always, and this was back in like the early 2000s when you grew up and people couldn't wait to get out of Bradenton at that time.
Yeah.
Now I think it's funny, like everyone comes back. This is a great place to raise a family. And it was, I I think it's always been such a special place. And my family comes from Ohio. I was actually born in Ohio. And so coming from Ohio to here, like you see how magical it is. And my family had all, moved down, my aunts and things like that. And so I've always loved Bradenton.
I love it. We're so grateful you love Bradenton. I mean, been here 23 years. My wife grew up here. I think it's so fascinating too that I think God does not rhythm in coincidences. But I was across the street from you when you were in high school, and you were there. Jackie was doing Young Life at Bayshore. But it's funny, as the paths don't cross maybe at that time, but they cross maybe later.
Well, and I didn't do the camps of Young Life, but the actual Young Life with Bridget.
Yeah. Bridget Mustaine.
Yes.
Shout out. Bridget Mustaine and Chris Mustaine are dear friends.
I still see her on social media.
She saw a picture of you, and they're in Michigan now. They're right near East Lansing. She saw a picture of you and me at Lakewood Ranch Business Alliance when we were promoting it, and Bridget sent me a text. I'm getting goosebumps. Bridget sent me a text. I love this. Bridget, shout out to you, sister.
Big shout out.
And said, I love Brittany Lamont. And that was neat. That's it. Oh, yeah, she loves you. Bridget, Chris are dear friends. And now they're in East Lansing with their two daughters. And Jackie, Bridget, and Chris go way back. And then I've inherited them as dear friends from Jackie's relationship with them. Relationships.
Absolutely.
Show
and
up.
Young Life was so big. I mean, again, so many friends I know from Young Life and people I still see around the community that were a part of Young Life too.
Brittany's so good. Well, we can't script that part.
That's the
Isn't that
really
wild?
such a gem of this community though, is it's big enough not to be so small town, but if you really kind of take out seasonal or retirees or whatever, like, family age folks, it really is kind of a small community. And I always love the like few degrees of separation, I think even some of your team, I've been like, oh, so-and-so, and like, that's my favorite part.
You also do a really fascinating job. This is more, I'm in the encouragement side, which means it won't be a question. Podcast hosts are supposed to ask questions. But you do a really great job of not only honoring who poured life into you, but also their names. You're just really, I don't think that's something that you just figure out at 8 years old, but like you're so, including you mentioned your teacher Tulio, and you mention your friends by name, Jenny Chadsey, and you just go down the line. I think that's really important for that difference between that person and just honoring their name because they were significant in your life. Wow.
And anytime you can thank them. I mean, any platform you have to just thank the people who got you there. Yeah. And the small moments, big moments, whatever that is, I think about that in the weaves of, I talked a little bit about Janeth. We both went to Bayshore. We were both Take Stock kids.
Yeah, that's so great. And that was the video I think you did. It was Take Stock and Children.
Yes, I did do with Bryce, actually.
Yes. So I was sharing with Brittany for those listening and observing that I was at a Kiwanis event and they did a video because Take Stock was there to share. And I was the weird guy who was taking a picture of your video so I could send it to you. But they did an interview and they were doing a whole thing on what is Take Stock and Children. And I'm watching going, oh my gosh, that's one of my friends. And I didn't know that story. And you were sharing how Take Stock and Children had invested in you early. And it actually just reminds me, like, it's the finished product, which we're never finished, right? Fair. But the thing you see up there at the gala, at the awards banquet, at the Sandy's, at the whatever, for all of us that are listening, watching, and doing this, there's a lot more to it than just what you see at the podium. You know what I mean?
And I think even more importantly than that, there were a lot of hands who pushed me up to that podium. Like, I think if I ever have any glimmer or feel that glimmer of success, it's because my mom sacrificed, right? It's because David and I put each other through college. It's, because my father-in-law and mother-in-law watched my kids for me when they were little before daycare. You know what I mean? It's always like there's a tribe of people behind, I don't know if it's an actor getting Academy Awards or a professional sports player or whatever. Like there's usually this tribe of people who have been behind them, who've kind of helped push them there. And I think that's you had mentioned early in this podcast something about like, well, how do you do it all? Or, if somebody's ever, I feel like they ask, no offense, but they ask working women this the most, like working moms, like, oh, how do you do it all? And I don't at all. Like, I outsource what I can, right? Yeah. Or I, have a very loving family who my my kids get such an experience to have their grandparents very active in their lives, you know, or friends or whatever. And it's just, you don't do it all. You have a lot of people who've helped you. And then even no matter if you're running a company or what you're doing, like, yeah, we all feel like there's times we're failing in our lives.
So good.
You know, you forgot to sign the agenda again. And the teacher's like, you need to sign the agenda every night. And I'm like, I'm doing the best I can.
Forgot the cleats.
Yes, I forgot the cleats.
My 4-year-old forgot her cleats for her softball practice today. We'll be running them over
and
to 3.
You show like grace.
Yes.
I will say the older I get, the less I stop apologizing.
Good.
And I start showing myself grace.
That's huge. Stop apologizing. Stop verbally apologizing out loud, and also just internally.
Yeah. My biggest shift, hands down, is I stopped apologizing for being a mom. I tend to work like I don't have kids and have kids like I don't work. Like, I think I should be the mom that's at every class party, every blah, 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 blah. Then, you know, I should show up all the time and be able to be everywhere and do all that. And it did get to a point where I was like, but that's almost like a false narrative. And I work for an organization who believes so much in family. And yeah, sometimes my kids have had to sit in my office during a board meeting, or sometimes I've had to leave or do or whatever. And I compartmentalize those lives so much, and I stopped doing it. And I really, it's been foundational for me, I think, to really be okay with the flow is there. Like, there are times I got to mom a lot harder than I got to work this week. Yeah. You know, maybe someone's sick or whatever. Hey, this is a really big work week for me. My shift isn't, and that helps with some of the guilt. Yeah. I mean, you can eat yourself alive as a parent.
Oh, yeah. And then I smile because I'm thinking, who knows, your daughter 20 years from now might tell the story about you bringing her to work. And you're sitting there going, oh, no, I have to bring my daughter to work. And she's like, no, I got to see what the room looked like. I got to hear what a business meeting sounds like. Yeah. So I love that. We don't really love talking in game on terms about like work-life balance. It's a rhythm. It is. And it's a flow back and forth, and you have to not underplay it and you can't overplay it. Brittany, it is like, I knew where some of the things we were going to go with on this conversation, but what I loved was your vulnerability to show the imperfect side, which is huge. Thank you. I love that you are a local to this community, and the work you put in. Nothing was handed to you, and you don't overplay that and turn that into a badge of honor, but the fact that you got after it, shifted the generational college rotation is significant. And I appreciate what you do. And that partnership with Leadership Academy is huge. We're going on 10 years. You've been driving it for now almost 6. And that has been something, but it's way more than that. I will always see a video when you're on, and I'll get my phone out and be like, I got to get this. So
what I hope you know how many people that I come across, and I know Heather could say this for the time she ran the program, and I hope your staff feels it too, that I'll run into people and they'll just tell me about Leadership Academy, the experience they had, what it meant to them, my own team who have been through it, and what that's meant to them. And I think, you know, if anything, employers pouring into their employees like that and allowing them to have a half day for 6 weeks that they can just work on them. And the thing I love is I'm not sending my whole crew to you. I'm sending in every year each employee, and they get that individuality. There we go. And that's, I think, so great. They get to kind of go out. I always say, like, I send them to you one way and then you send them back to me. And we've had a chance to debrief on employees, and you've given me really great insight, and you have such a good way of pulling those nuggets from them. And it's important to me to put my team through it. So I know how important it is for our businesses to have your program, you know, really evolve, I think, over the years, and we keep spicing it up each year and finding new ways. But I hope you run into people on the streets or whatever that equally tell you how much life you pour into people.
Thank you.
So
thank you.
I don't think you get told that enough either.
I receive it. The encourager is going to receive the encouragement.
You got to send it back.
Thanks, Brittany. You are a gem. And that's Laugh with Brittany Lamont. And just reminding us, laughter doesn't have to be just being funny all the time. You know, get into the real, find the joy and levity in our lives. And sometimes the laughter is hilarious. And sometimes if we don't laugh, we might cry.
Or we walk home with a 3-legged cat. Or drive home with a 3-legged
Come
cat.
on to bring that back. That was great. That's the bookend. Hey, check out our podcast at our various links where podcasts can be checked out. And yeah, what an honor. This is Laugh with Brittany Lamont. I appreciate the Game On team, and I appreciate you so much. This community appreciates you so much. All right. Until next time, let's go.